So I'm Steph Reynolds. I'm from the Environmental Planning and Climate Protection Department of eThekwini Municipality. And as has been mentioned, I'm going to be chatting to you about the Working for Ecosystems program. And this is implemented by the Restoration Ecology branch. I'd also like to acknowledge Errol Dowes, who is the co-author. Just before I get into the actual content of the presentation, I just want to run through what I'm actually going to be talking to you about today. Firstly, I'm going to give you an overview of the Working for Ecosystems program as a whole. So I'll go through a bit of the history and the background, and then I'll actually zoom in to the current process. So that's the implementation of the program on the ground. Then I'll be chatting to you about the benefits of the program and the call for the program. And this will be in terms of ecological benefits as well as social benefits. Then another core component of the program is training, so I'll be chatting to this quite a bit, and this obviously links to the social benefits as well. So that's basically the core of my presentation, but I'll also just be going through the sites of the Working for Ecosystems program as well as value-added industries. So getting into it, why did Working for Ecosystems, what is the call for Working for Ecosystems? Well, there's a legal requirement. So legislation requires that eThekwini municipality needs to include plans for the monitoring, control, and eradication of invasive alien plants in its integrated development plan. And not only does the integrated development plan require conservation targets to be met, but it also requires community benefits to be met through these programs. So Working for Ecosystems was initiated in late 2006 from funding obtained from the former Department of Environmental Affairs and Tourism. This program is now fully funded by eThekwini Municipality. So we've got a reason for the Working for Ecosystems programs. So we've got a vision as well as the funding. So the next part is an implementing agent. So obviously the Environmental Planning and Climate Protection Department will oversee and facilitate the Working for Ecosystems program, so a tender went out for the implementing agent. And the implementing agent was WESA, the Wildlife Environmental Society of South Africa. They won the tender. And I think I should just mention a little bit of history of WESA. Before 2006, they had never really had any experience in invasive alien plant control removal. They hadn't actually done any physical on-the-ground work in terms of clearance. But they did have a bit of knowledge of invasive alien plants. They had quite a few campaigns going, and they still do. I'm sure a lot of you will know about the Stop the Spread campaign. That's just one of them. So they really had to go from campaigning to on-the-ground work in a very short space of time. The Environmental Planning and Climate Protection Department fortunately knew this about WESA, had faith in them, and decided that the potential benefits outweighed the potential risks. So they came on board. And together they came up with the vision of the Working for Ecosystems program. And just putting it very simply, there are two main sort of pillars of the program, and this is poverty alleviation through community ecosystem-based adaptation, as well as invasive alien plant control. Now, to look at this in a more focused light, I'm just going to go through the Working for Ecosystem process as it started off. So obviously, the first criteria is area selection. Because of the nature of the invasive alien plant work and the labour that goes into that, obviously the best sites would be the more open space sites, but also obviously sites with biodiversity importance. And so WESA and the department liaised, and they picked a couple of sites. The next step was candidate selection. So what the department and WESA did was they held workshops in the surrounding communities of the selected sites, and they chatted with ward councillors, and with just the general community, and gave a bit of information about ecological importance and sort of the vision of working for ecosystems. WESA and the municipality also chatted to the ward councillors about sort of facilitator roles, and they did aptitude tests on some of the community members to establish the roles that they would be playing in the Working for Ecosystems teams. Then, once all of this was done, the teams were upskilled and started their training in invasive alien plant removal. Once that happened, they started the initial clearing, the follow-up clearing, and then obviously the management phase of invasive alien plant control. The next step was to expand to new areas, and so the cycle continues. Now, just to chat about the benefits of the Working for Ecosystems program, I'm going to break the ecological benefits up into two. So there's obviously the ecosystem services. We all know the dangers and the havoc that invasive alien plants wreak. And so in removing them, it results in improved services such as increased water quality, decreased habitat fragmentation, resilience to climate change, all of those sort of things. But there's also another element to this, and this is the ecological benefits. I know that a lot of you have heard about the KZN sandstone sourfelt over the last couple of days. And I think, well, one of the things that I've picked up is that it's endangered nationally, but it's critically endangered in KwaZulu-Natal. And this program targets those threatened ecosystems. Eradicates invasive alien plants and helps to build them up again. And the Working for Ecosystems targets, in this sense, there's obviously general invasive alien plant control, but there's also a target, there's also emerging weeds control. For example, the EDRR teams, so the Early Detection and Rapid Response teams, go and they find the emerging weeds that have been established by eThekwini, and some of these are pom-pom weed, famine weed, and so they actually go and do that as well. Then moving on to the social benefits, and this is also broken up into two sections. The first is job creation. So community members are employed through the program, but not only are they employed, they're also upskilled and they're given opportunities to learn, and obviously this encourages and fosters self-development, and I'll get onto this a bit later as well. So the provision of jobs obviously allows for household earnings as well as the support for families. And the funding, also the DEAT as well as the municipal funding, targets women, youth, and the disabled. And then I'll just move on to the next slide. So what I've just been speaking about is not a unique thing to Working for Ecosystems. It's also part of programs like Working for Water. But this next section is something that is more unique to the program. And in this instance, individuals are employed by the program, and they get upskilled through the program. So they get opportunities to learn not only about invasive alien plant control, but also finance and business, marketing, entrepreneurship. A whole lot of training is available to them. Some of it is accredited and some of it is non-accredited. But the point of this is for individuals to have the opportunity to create their own small businesses. And obviously this happens over time. It's not just in the space of a few weeks or even a few months. It's in the space of, it can happen over years. And not only are they given these opportunities, but it carries on. And the Working for Ecosystems program often subcontracts, they subcontract the Working for Ecosystems program. So it's a continuous cycle. And then I'll go on to the next slide. You can see in the clearing area over here, this is where a lot of the business development happens. And once this business development has happened and the small businesses have been established, it feeds back into the training. And they help to mentor new candidates. So it's really great in that it feeds back into itself. And then just to chat a little bit more about the training, like I said, there is accredited as well as non-accredited training. There's general training that a lot of the Working for Ecosystems workers, employees have, and this is first aid, admin and finance. Some of it's nursery keeping, but then those that want to start up their own businesses and that have the potential to do so can get further training. And WESA does have an invasive alien plant identification and control course. It's a 3-day course. It's obviously locally relevant. And like I said, the courses continue through the years, and there's ongoing mentoring. Then just to give a brief snapshot of job creation from the Working for Ecosystems program in the previous financial year, so between 2013 and 2014. 251 people were trained, 1,298 person days of training took place, just over 25,000 person days were worked, and 11 subcontractors were employed. And then here you can see the sites and catchments where Working for Ecosystems currently works. You can see Rosefontein and Paradise Valley over there, Shongweni over there, and Drummond next to that, Hewlett's Bush, more coastal, and then Ngonweni further north. And then just the last component that I'm going to be chatting to you about is the value-added industry. And this is a biochar program that's currently being worked on. Initially, a small kiln was built just to test the burning of invasive alien plant feedstock, and a couple of tests were done on that, and it was decided that it was worthwhile actually building a full-size kiln. And the retort, which is basically this part over here, accommodates about 100 kgs of stock, and the part that surrounds that accommodates approximately 120 kgs of feedstock. And this burns for a couple of hours and eventually produces between 50 and 60 kgs of char per burn. The first burn in this kiln produced very good quality char, and this has been sent off to KZN for further testing. In that it can be added to the soils and for nutrients and things like that. Thank you.